Good morning. Welcome back to CityLine. With me in the studio, I have the South Sound Go Red for Women Luncheon. So please join me in welcoming two exceptional guests. Rose Chandreau, you are a Go Red for Women ambassador. Welcome, my dear.
Thank you.
Good to have you on the comfy couch. This beautiful woman next to you, Latasha Haynes, you are also a Go Red for Women ambassador. Welcome, my dear.
Thank you.
Both of you, I cannot wait to get to know you. As we know, February is the American Heart Association Heart Month, and each of you has a personal story with heart disease. It's hard to imagine that, first off, for me to even say that looking at you. But that's part of the issue of heart disease, is that you can't tell. So let's start with you first, Rose, and share a little bit about your story in terms of your experience with heart disease.
Sure. Well, if I were told last year that I'd be sitting in this couch talking about me being a heart survivor, I would have laughed. I was in a business meeting, and all of a sudden I felt like there were some butterflies in my chest, and then it became stronger, and it felt like a bird was trying to escape. So I called my primary care doctor, who then referred me for an echocardiogram. And next thing I knew, I was meeting with a cardiologist who told me that I needed heart surgery. So what had happened was that there's what is called a mitral valve that regulates the flow of blood between the upper and the lower chamber of the heart. Well, the mitral valve, the heartstrings separated from the valve, and so one valve was floating upwards and the other valve was floating downwards, and blood was, regurgitating. So I was, taken by complete surprise. During that time of my life, I was looking forward to being a grandmother. My firstborn daughter was about to give birth, and I was focusing on being the grandmother, and then just to be shocked that I was going to have heart surgery. So I was worried if I was even going to be able to be there for his birth, and fortunately, by the grace of God, I was able to be present for his birth, and then shortly thereafter, April 7th of 2017 to be exact, I was on the operating room table.
Rose, I'm sitting here, and if I had not been sitting here and just listening and absorbing all that you just said, I would not have believed it. Because, how many times have we all experienced that but have ignored the symptoms? And did you have any history of heart disease in your family?
My mother is being treated for high blood pressure, and in fact,
which can lead to,
and and I have high blood pressure, but I've never really thought that something like this would happen to me.
Oh my gosh! And so you went through your heart surgery, and fast forward, here you are as a Go Red ambassador.
Yes.
Looking extremely beautiful, glowing, and healthy.
Oh, thank you.
My goodness.
Thank you.
Okay, Latasha, I want to hear about your experience, but first I want to ask this very inappropriate question.
Yes.
How old are you?
I turned 35 in 2017, so.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about your dance with heart disease. Where did it go?
Yeah, I very similar to Rose's story, which I am like blown away by as well. I was not feeling good, like just common colds kind of symptoms, had a few fevers, but just, it was a cold that was like hanging on. It was not going away. And I had woke up one day and had gone to several different times over the course of the week to urgent care to try to figure out why I was feeling so horrible. Like, was it strep throat? Like, what is going on with me? And they were just like, it's a virus. You have a flu virus. And I'm like, okay. So at one point I woke up, this is now like a week into really going, okay, I've been sick for a while. This is not going away. I called my cousin who's a doctor, and I'm like, what are the symptoms of meningitis? Because at this point now my body is hurting and I can't really move things. Like things are like seized up. And she was like, you might have the flu. And I'm like, the flu? Like, wouldn't I know if I had the flu? And she was just like, well, not everybody's had the flu before. And I had never really thought about the fact that not everyone has experienced the flu, because I felt like I was dying. And so we did find out that I did have the flu. A week after finding out that I had the flu, I woke up and I felt off. Like I felt odd. My body felt like it had seized up. My chest was hurting. I didn't have chest pains, but I definitely could not catch my breath.
Okay.
And it was just having a hard time just getting comfortable. I would lay down and it would hurt and I couldn't breathe. I would stand up and I just could not find any source of comfort. We were actually on our way to the airport and my husband had went to get his hair cut and he came in and he was like, "Are you ready to go?" And I'm like, "I don't know what's going on, but I know I'm not getting on an airplane." And we had been paid to go speak at a conference. We were opening up a conference. And so from that, we went to the chiropractor. The chiropractor checked to see if I had any ribs out of place.
Of course.
Because it felt like that
Yes.
a little bit. And he goes, "I don't know what's wrong, but based on your breathing and the amount of pain that I can see happening, like coming out of you, you need to go to the hospital." We get to the hospital and they're like, "We don't know what's going on, but your heart is beating 227 beats per minute." And my blood pressure was like slowly dropping. So I remember being admitted into the hospital and I didn't really understand what was going on until 6 days later. I went into heart failure. I had pericarditis and myocarditis, which is inflammation of the heart lining and inflammation of the heart muscle. And I had went into heart failure. My heart was racing so fast for several days that they could not get it to go down, and my blood pressure had dropped that my heart wasn't able to even pump blood to the rest of my body.
You are a miracle.
I am a miracle.
Well, both of you are, but this is just, I mean, you just don't think at the age of 35 that's
No.
a story you'd be telling.
Very healthy, worked out, ate
Yes.
well. This happened on March 1st. It wasn't until March 7th that I was stabilized.
Oh my God. Okay, so let's backtrack for a bit because I want to talk about the luncheon and what they will expect from it. But I also want to ask the question, and Rose, you first. What have you learned about heart disease that you want to pass on to our audience?
Well, I've learned that never, treat any kind of feelings of illness or heart palpitations as if it were something to be dismissed.
Right.
Take it seriously. If you feel strange, you feel like there's something going on in your chest. I thought that I just had, air bubbles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And found out later on that I should have paid more attention to it.
I bet. Well, Tasha, you are speaking at the event.
I am, yes.
I love that. So what can women expect?
Well, from the event, there's going to be a lot of health and wellness booths.
Perfect.
There'll be so many amazing women that have their own stories with heart failure, heart disease, stroke, whether it's things that they've encountered themselves or things that they have experienced by like people that they love. And I feel like the stories are the most impactful because it was the stories that caused me to do something. And so I feel like hearing the stories is going to be the best part. People have the opportunity to also find out ways that they can prevent heart disease and stroke, which it obviously is preventable, which we're so thankful for. And then they'll have the opportunity to get behind what's happening and what the American Heart Association is doing to inform women of heart disease and stroke issues.
I love that. You've described the luncheon beautifully. So Rose, you are a part of CHI Franciscan Health, which is a big supporter, major supporter of Go Red for Women. Tell us about their support. What do they do?
Well, CHI Franciscan is proud to be a champion for heart health, as well as to help raise awareness of heart disease in women. As a healthcare organization, it's very important for us that women and men in our community will treat their health with priority, and that we're here to support them. Although I'm the Go Red ambassador for women, there are many medical experts and staff who have donated their time to the American Heart Association. We provide community information or education programs, and many of us participate in the event. In fact, my CEO, Katul Patel, was a chair for the first time that the Seattle and the Tacoma Heart Walks were merged, and we were told that we raised the most money and recruited the most people for the Heart Walk.
Way to walk the
prior
talk.
times, yeah. And then also too, CHI Franciscan provides funds to the American Heart Association to support the American Heart Association and their research programs, so that we can make more medical advances possible.
I love that. So let's talk about, we've been showing the website below both of your beautiful faces here so people know where to get the tickets. Tickets are still available. You can purchase them online. Both of you will be there, and I will imagine you're going to be swamped after this show and after they talk with you and hear your stories. I just want to say to both of you, this seems so trite, but I'm going to say it, thank goodness you're here. There are so many wonderful people that don't have the knowledge that you have, that never make it onto this couch. And heart disease is still the #1 leading killer in the US, and it can be prevented. That's the part that always kills me. So the more education we have, the more we have ambassadors like both of you from very diverse points of view in your life and different seasons in your life, the more people can relate and say, I could be that 35-year-old. I could be that soon-to-be grandmother that has that feeling in her chest. So I want to say thank you both for being here, for sharing your stories so beautifully. And see you at the luncheon.
Yes.
Definitely.
All right. When we play some musical chairs, the Sons of Italy will be here to talk about what they are doing in Tacoma and how you can get a great Italian dinner. We'll be right back after this quick message.